All right, I call to order the Kingston Springs Board of Commission public hearing. If there's anybody here that would like to speak on, make comments on ordinance 22-006, adopting the town of Kingston Springs annual budget and tax rate for the 2022-23 fiscal year, now would be your opportunity. I don't believe there is anyone here, unless any ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we will adjourn the public hearing and call to order the Kingston Springs Board of Commission meeting. Could everyone please rise and face the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kelly, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Clark? Here. Commissioner Remick?
Here.
Mayor Gross?
Here.
Commissioner Hargis?
Here.
Commissioner Stoller?
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Do we have a motion to approve the May 19th public hearing meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to approve the May 19th, 2022 City Commission meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to approve the June 16th City Commission meeting agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Nice. Announcements from commissioners. Clark, do you have anything?
Just wanted to recognize Sunday, June 19th as Juneteenth and the emancipation, their celebration of the emancipation of slaves. And I'm just starting to learn a little bit more about our history in our town, and I didn't know that much. And the Dutchman's Curve, Jan Walker told me about that, did not know. And so I know we had a black community up by Patterson, so I'm really eager to learn more about that. But I just want to recognize Juneteenth.
And if you go on the walking trail over, there's a memorial to where it actually happened that you can see in Nashville. Greenland. Glenn.
Great splash pad ribbon cutting ceremony. That was great. Thank you for keeping on top of it and figuring things out.
Very good.
Figuring it out.
No announcement. Nothing.
Cool. All right. Okay. Then we can move on. Community input and concerns. I don't believe there is any tonight. Nobody submitted anything, so we can move on, I guess, to department reports. Is there anything to add to department reports other than what was circulated? All right. And we can move on to legal, and we have the two items under legal.
Everybody hold tight to your chairs. I actually have something to say during this section tonight. At our last meeting, Commissioner Clark had asked me about Senate Bill 2077, and I kind of gave a thumbnail sketch of what it was about, and went back and, as you all see in your packet there, did a memorandum with some additional articles and all. It was actually codified and will become effective July 1st. It's public chapter number 1100. Without reading every word of my memorandum, again, it's effectively taking authority away from municipalities to be able to do anything to prohibit fuel sources, energy sources, et cetera, specifically gas pipelines, petroleum-based product transfers, and things like that. Although the statute basically says have at it and regulate all you want to with solar and wind power, but you cannot do anything with respect to fossil fuel-based power. So that's a sketch of it.
So the short story is if Titan wanted to come here, they could come here.
There would be very little things that we could do at this time.
That's really
So
disappointing.
unless there was some other authority that had been granted to the city on a federal or state level, there'd be very, very little we could do at this time.
We don't have anything imminent anyway, right?
I'm sorry?
I said we don't have anything imminent anyway.
Not that I know of. Not that I'm aware of.
Given the way the bill's written, I think it was more a political agenda than,
Yeah.
than actually trying to solve a problem.
I think Memphis successfully blocked them coming through, or at least got them to withdraw the request to come through, and so I think that's what this drove is.
It was a solution for a problem that wasn't there.
Being so close to the river without anyone want to run anything nearby us anyways. Any pipelines through Kingston Springs because of the river, for example.
That was one of the concerns in the Memphis situation, is that where they were going to run it was going to go through one of their aquifers that provided water.
Oh,
to
geez,
the
okay.
town.
Well, they're
So
not gonna
that
stop
was,
raining.
that was
All
one
right.
of the issues that, caused citizens to be so much against it. Caused enough uproar that they finally withdrew the request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions over that?
I think we're
So
good.
then,
Do you have an update on
pretty clear.
contract with Brandon?
I got it from her this afternoon, so.
I had been waiting on the dog's name and breed, and I had forgotten to circle back with you to get that from
Okay.
you, but it's, I just put a blank in there. So you can
Okay.
bring that in.
All right, thank you.
So then, do we move on to section?
Go on and move on to,
Okay. All right, so discussion on scheduling impacts on ordinance 21 -001. This is the ordinance that was adopted last year. Flip to that page, so I have it right here in front of me. Where the board set forth some additional notice requirements with respect to hearings before the Board of Zoning Appeals and before the Board of Commissioners. As far as, for example, Board of Zoning Appeals, we added that had to be advertised in the newspaper at least 15 days in advance, required signage, we even got down to specifics on size of sign, et cetera. We also tried to basically mirror that with respect to our zoning, rezone requests that came through the Planning Commission. One of the things that John and I, at last week's Planning Commission meeting, realized that specifically with respect to the section 8.070C, which is the public notice dealing with the Board of Zoning Appeals, that in some cases that 15 days could provide a little bit of a difficulty because of the lead time that we now have on the newspaper publication dates when it comes out. When we first looked at that, when we were sitting in the meeting the other night, there was a rezone request that had been approved by Planning Commission that will come to this commission. And so we were looking at this particular ordinance here and had misread 8.070C, thinking that that was the Planning Commission notice. That's covered in 8.090C. Resolve that issue.
City.
Yeah, resolve that particular issue. But in talking with our planner further today, there is a little concern that when somebody files a request with the Board of Zoning Appeals, that there can be an expanded period of time before there's actually a hearing on it because of the way we have to get the notice into the newspaper a week before it runs on a Friday. So it's really more than 14 days, or 15 days plus that lead time. So just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention in case there was any consideration. If you wanted to dial that time factor back just to allow for a quicker hearing for someone, still have the notice requirement out there, but maybe not require that much time. So that was
So,
what
what exact timeline, if we dialed it back somewhere, are we looking at to make it where it would work a little better?
Right now, the paper, the deadline is Thursday at 4 for a Tuesday publication.
Okay.
So, and most notices are at least, 10 days? So that means like 10
it's 15.
10 to
15,
15,
10 to
depending on
15,
what
and we
state
got
law
this set at
requires.
15.
Yeah,
15 on
But
Yeah, so you've got to get, that's like putting it at 2.5 weeks more instead of 2 weeks. You're getting that extra just the way it falls. So that's giving, you almost need 3 weeks ahead of time just to.
So we got dialed back to 10 days?
that for Board of Zoning Appeals. Now, your zoning changes, that's statutory,
We're
that's,
good.
yeah,
That has to be.
yeah,
We're good.
exactly, that has to be,
But we could, for Board of Zoning Appeals, we could,
yeah.
Well,
And
did you
that's-
already have to give the notice for the original decision before it goes to appeals? Why do you need a second notice that it's been appealed?
A Board of Zoning Appeals would be any action, so it's not a second reading on that. So before any action can be taken or heard on it, it has to have that 15 days notice.
But don't you get 15 days on, like, you don't go to appeal unless you didn't like the decision at the planning commission, right?
No, sir, the Board of Zoning Appeals would be for someone to approve, to appeal a decision of your building inspector with respect to a permit denial or something like that, or to ask for a special exception, or, there's certain things. They don't hear
They don't-
appeals
they don't
at
go
the
to
planning
them.
commission.
Yeah, none of the people that go to planning commission really go through.
So it's a
Right.
separate issue. Okay.
Right, it's just straight to them. So that might be something you guys want to look at and consider, and if you want me to bring back some recommendations, we may just sit down with the calendar and do some different scenarios and see what plays out on that.
But that's strictly zoning appeals only.
Zoning appeals, because you've got the statutory requirement on a 15.
And it's been, yeah, and we've had a lot more business before zoning appeals recently,
Right.
just with everything that goes on, so I can see that.
So just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up. And then the other
What would you recommend that we shorten it to if we shorten it?
10, and that
10
might
days?
again be
That still may be a
situation,
2 week,
yeah.
it still may be 2 weeks out from publication, just for the way it falls. If you've got to get it in by a Thursday or a Tuesday publication, so, it's.
Yeah.
The
it
Board
may-
of Zoning Appeals
10
meets
days
on
may-
Thursdays.
Typically, but now that's at call. So
That's at call,
it's not
okay.
a set date. So,
Because it's just on the basis of if there is any business for them. So also, would there be some way to maybe pledge the date there too, where the day they meet there in some way to accommodate as well? I don't know. Maybe that's just something to look into when you dig
we'll
into this,
sit
see what we
down.
can come up with the most effective way.
John and the planner and I will sit down and come up with some different scenarios, just, and kind of lay it out, say, here's how these work, so you guys can kind of see what we're talking about. One thing I did want to point out on the reasons that come before you from the planning commission, sometimes we have to have special called meetings because we also have a window that they have to be approved or disapproved in. And so we're still tied to that 15 days notice by statute. So that's why sometimes you see us winding up with a special call meeting, which we're likely going to have on this one that came from the planning commission last week. So we'll probably have to have a special call on that. Because John and I, we were reading through this that night, like, oh wait, we can't take any action, meaning we've got to have the hearing first, thinking that was the move up to you guys rather than Board of Zoning Appeals, because I just have this in front of me, not the whole ordinance. So.
And this basically only becomes a problem because we don't have the advocate anymore, which had a totally different schedule, which would have worked.
Exactly. It was a lot easier with that, yes. Yeah. So, anyway, that's just, John had asked me to discuss that with you guys while he wasn't here. And like I said, I also had discussed it with the planner, and she had that information she wanted me to pass along about. Sometimes it can be a little onerous on that time frame.
Well, I'd be for shortening the time frame.
So, I know-
15 plus the lag is too much.
It's a delicate balance between wanting to make sure everybody's made aware, but as you say, having a big lag for somebody that may need to get something done,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
Time is money on that stuff.
So, and that was all I had.
All right, very good.
We'll move on to unfinished business. Item A is second reading of ordinance 22-006, adopting the Town of Kingston Springs annual budget and tax rate for the 2022-23 fiscal year. Nothing's changed since last month. Did you have anything you'd like to add, Kelly?
There's several things actually that have changed since
Oh.
last month.
Oh.
I sent you all an email that kind of laid out everything, but because we had passed first reading, we still have to kind of go over those so that we can notate them in the minutes and then attach a copy. I kind of explained to you in the email that I had gotten with the comptroller and with MTAS regarding this ordinance, and that they had several recommendations. One of the biggest recommendations was due to the American Rescue Plan Act funds, and because there's more money coming down as far as the non-competitive grants through TDEC. So we need a bid, basically, before we add that money into our budget. So we'll have to amend the budget for that. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly. The first change is for line item 972 in the Parks budget. We took out the portable stage as recommended or as passed in the first reading. We also moved all of the programming events to the tourism department from the parks department, and the reason that we did that is because of the hotel motel tax. It's easier to track these sorts of things, and with the increase in the hotel motel tax, it just kind of helps us account for it better. Now, that's all in the general budget. As far as the sewer fund budget, the comptroller's office recommended that we take all the engineering and put it into the projects that we were planning, as it should be capitalized as part of the project instead of in the operating expense. So we took that out. We also took out all of the ARP monies that we've received and what we expect to encumber next year, and we'll do a budget amendment for that. We've now collected some money for the insurance company for the Acorn pump station, $92,066, and we reflected that money, and we also had to show, they recommended that we show our fixed cost offer for FEMA, which was the $213,000. We very well may get more than that. It just depends on what the bids come in as, but they wanted us to show it, being that we were expensing it in the budget. We also needed to satisfy the comptroller requirements and get our money where it needed to be to balance correctly. So we took $5,000 out of the electrical line item. The reason the electricity is up so much right now, number one, an increase in cost of electricity. Number two is we're running that bypass pump at Acorn pump station, which is causing our electrical bill to go sky high. So it could be that we have to do a budget amendment on it. Hopefully we won't. Hopefully as soon as the budget passes, we'll get the Acorn pump station bid out and get the work started on that. And it might not be an issue, but we did take that out in order to satisfy the comptroller requirements.
Okay.
Kelly?
Okay. So what do we need, a motion to approve this second reading with
With
these
the
amendments?
With these changes.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the second reading.
Kelly, I'm just going to say that email I sent you earlier in the week with that question that you answered, I didn't know if anybody else would want to know that answer in case somebody else saw that in there, in the budget.
I don't remember what it was. I'm so
It was the
sorry.
41,000.
The what?
The 41,700.
Okay, yes. In the
Planning and zoning.
line item budget for the planning and zoning, there was a charge that it didn't copy and paste correctly, but it's not in the estimated on the actual ordinance. So it wasn't an issue. What it did was it copied the department number, which is the 41700, I believe, instead of 0, when I copied and pasted it into the new worksheet. So in your line item budget, there is a typo under that section.
I thought that was
Sorry
a big,
about that.
that's got what a big expense there.
But the ordinance is correct. The line item budget just had that typo. This budget that you see.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the second reading contingent on these changes that are listed.
Including the changes?
Yes, including those changes.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Kelly, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Remick,
Yes.
Mayor Gross,
Yes.
Commissioner Hargis,
Yes.
Commissioner Stoller.
Yes.
All right, on to discussion on Kingston Springs speed limit signage. Commissioner Clark.
I just had a question on where we were on the signage. I know that John had mentioned to me about the flashing feedback signs, and I just wanted to confirm that we were going to get one for East Kingston Springs and for Mount Pleasant.
John asked me to speak on it, and they are not currently ordered because the price increased after they ordered it. The company that they was ordering from, like, tripled the price, but they will be ordered right after July 1st.
In the new budget.
And they are budgeted for East Kingston and West Kingston. And, you know, if we want to add some to Mount Pleasant Road, we would just need to do a budget amendment for that. But we are putting them on East Kingston and West Kingston, and we'll see how those work out.
Yeah, I know Mount Pleasant is such a big.
So the order was placed, and then they tripled it on you?
They like tripled the price after the order was placed. So he canceled the order, and then it was so close to the end of the budget year,
Moved it to the next
he
budget.
just moved that money to the next budget year.
What is going on with the placement of the new signs right now? We've got, I mean, I know they've done 30, we've got 35 here, 20 mile an hour is here, the reduced speeds up, and then, but some of them are still
Yeah, 35's on West Kingston now
on
by
West
Lawrence,
Kingston.
yeah.
And I noticed the 20 miles are out here on.
Right. I think that they're still working on getting some reduced speed ahead, and then the flashing signs. So,
Flashing signs will flash when you're above the what the speed limit is, basically, right?
Yeah,
This is your
they
speed.
usually, I think, tell you how fast you're going,
All right.
which are actually surprisingly effective.
Mhm.
All right. We can move on to new business. Item A is reading of ordinance 22-007, amending ordinance 22-005, and amending ordinance 17-005, the hotel motel tax, amending Title 5, Chapter 6, Section 5-602 of the Town of Kingston Springs Municipal Code.
Right, if I could explain this, you all had previously voted to increase the hotel motel occupancy tax to 4% from the 2.5%. This was based upon a changed statute. I realized in some work that I was doing that at the time that we changed our tax rate, we left our language alone as far as the allocations of those funds, and our language in our municipal code said it would be allocated to tourism and economic development. Going back and actually looking at the very specific wording of the statute that allowed you guys to take it up 4%, it said to have to be tourism and tourism development, which I know seems to be splitting hairs, but I want to make sure that there's no reason for anybody to fuss about that. So this is coming in and just cleaning up.
So, just out of curiosity, on the private act that allowed that tax to exist in the first place, what's the language on that?
That was economic.
That's at economic.
But
So
that
but
was
there's-
at that lower rate. So if you're going to take advantage of the higher rate, you've got to keep it in.
So by taking, so there's no problem doing that though, because the language in the private act that authorizes us to have a hotel tax says one thing, and then the language has to read a different way, even that, okay.
You're availing yourself of the new public act, and it's.
Okay, so there I go, okay.
Right,
So it just
right.
invalidates the private act, basically.
Right, or basically says you can kind
Replace it.
of opt to use this one instead of
Set it.
that one. So, yeah.
And we have a tourism department now, I understand. We have a tourism department.
We've always had tourism.
We've always had one. Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
It's just separated in the budget to account for the hotel motel tax.
So all we need is a motion here to change the language.
motion to approve this ordinance, yes.
I'll make a
Approve the
motion,
ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we approve this change in the ordinance so that we can increase it by 2.5%, 2.5.
Second?
Oh, I'm sorry, your motion was to,
To change the language.
To change the language so we can,
right, just to approve this ordinance.
Yeah,
That's correct,
approve
because you've already
Ordinance,
increased.
we've already increased the rate, this is just changing the language from tourism to economic to tourism, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Kelly, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Remick?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes.
Commissioner Hargis?
yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
All right, item B is a motion to approve resolution 22-007, authorizing application for rural business development grant at the stage.
Yes.
So,
So essentially, we have submitted a lot of paperwork to rural development in order to try to get this grant. They've come back to us now and said, we haven't selected anybody, but we need you to pass this resolution. And they gave us a form resolution that John has completed here and asked that we consider tonight.
Kelly, did we ever get a visual packet of what the stage is going to look like? I can't, if we did, I can't find it.
We have something that shows that. I can send it out to you, but I don't know if you did or not.
Yeah, I don't recall. I was just wondering, are there going to be any ancillary costs with this, like trusses and lights and cans and a stage roof or anything like that?
Brandy, would you happen to know?
I mean, eventually we would need to add lighting, but I think this is just for the stage.
It's the stage, and it would be, so,
It's a mobile stage.
It does come with the trusses, it just doesn't come with the lighting.
lighting, okay. Huh.
And that might be something we can apply for later as well, but
Because this thing just breaks down and you can store it, correct?
Folds up.
It folds into a just a little box. Not a
You
little
can
box,
call
it's a
it
really
something.
large box, but
It's
it's
a
still a
big
box.
Where will it be stored?
Okay, I make a
Sure,
motion
public
that we
works.
adopt this so we can make an application for the grant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? None, motion passes. All right. Motion to approve resolution 2020, or 22-008, support of special event at Dinner on Main. This is the one we do every year for Dinner on Main. Do we have a
Motion.
I have a question. Do we have a ticket plan yet?
We're just gonna put it on the website, it will open at a certain time, and people will have to log on and buy them.
And restricted?
Yeah. Four.
To number 4?
how many? What's the number? 4.
Max of 4 per person.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, and then item D is discussion of potential property application for the National Register of Historic Places. And this is Commissioner Clark in regards to the depot.
It seems like Kelly's the grant guru now, so, almost. But I just was, wanted to know if we would all consider possibly going for a historic grant for the train depot, and that way we could get in and have some money coming in. I think that would, if we get listed on the National Register, it enables the owners of historic properties to be eligible to apply for federal grants to undertake preservation projects when the funds are available. And then I was thinking, just at the farmer's market, I've had people come and ask me about the hotel, so it got me interested in looking at that. And I think I'd been told before that it wasn't a historic site. And then after I did this memo, I looked online, and it appears that it is registered as a historic site. And I just think maybe down the line, if that ever comes up, that piece of property is parceled off, we might want to stick it in our back pocket to think about maybe acquiring that, since it is a historic town site. So just some
Yeah.
ideas, throwing it out there
Yeah.
for us to consider.
I think we've all thought about that. I don't know, and have we looked into this registering the train station ever?
I've never done any work as far as doing historical markers. I do know that the Cheatham County Historical Museum and Society have done historical markers and have done Blue Star markers. So there may be someone that we can contact to kind of help us and guide us through the paperwork, because it seems to be very cumbersome.
I think the
Because this is different too, putting on the historic registry
Yeah,
is different than a marker as well, so I
yeah,
think.
because this is going to be federal money.
Yeah.
And I think she went through the preservation officer of the Tennessee Historical Commission. So I think that's where all the brochures come from and everything, telling you how to do it. So that would be from federal money as opposed to state.
I'm curious, is that the original location of the train station?
No, it
Or
used to
where
be
was
on this side, the pylons are still over here by the,
Okay.
where the
That's what I
parking
thought
lot
that it
is.
had been moved at some point.
It was on this side of the railroad.
Is the location of the structure critical? I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, I was
Don't
just
know.
curious if that's something would be to making
But
something
no, it has
historical
been
site. If it's critical as the location, or if it's just the structure that, I don't know.
Yeah, historical building, yeah, you're right, something to look into.
There'd be
And you
something.
said that there was a piece of a train, a caboose, or an engine?
There is
Carthage?
in Carthage, the Kingston Springs Caboose is in Carthage. It's owned by an antique store.
Ah,
And so it was one time.
It was in front of City Hall, between City Hall and the railroad tracks. There was a grass area, and it was on actually some tracks, railroad tracks. It was there for years.
Yeah, and I believe, because Joy and I have come across it before, and it's not far off the interstate. And I don't know if that business is still in business. We were buying some chickens one time and went out around. So. No, but that is certainly something to look into. especially if there's some grant opportunities that come along with being a registered thing, and also looking into if it's the structure or if it's the location.
Good question.
If those things matter, I don't know. Right, consideration of recommendations of the consideration of recommendation of the Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission to accept the revised CLOMAR for golf course BVI. Do we have anything? Yeah, go ahead.
The Planning Commission has recommended approval for acceptance of this CLOMAR. It's a conditional letter of map revision. They have submitted plans, been reviewed by the town through its different agents, and then also to FEMA, and FEMA has submitted a letter that indicates that they find that there is no rise. I think they have maybe put words in your mouth, forgive me, basically adjusted some fill to accommodate the result of the no rise, which shows what our ordinances require. So the Planning Commission has recommended acceptance of this.
This was at Planning Commission 2 meetings ago, and there was the initial report showed a small rise, and in between engineering changed. They changed the engineering some and eliminated the rise, and now it's been recommended.
So with no pun intended, there's no watering down of our flood ordinances or anything like this?
Correct.
It doesn't change
It doesn't change anything. They now fall clean. But I mean, before it was very close, and it was sent. They at that point the Planning Commission did not recommend it. They changed it. Now the Commission is recommending it, and it doesn't compromise the integrity of the flood ordinance at all.
What is our action?
Your
We should
action
make a
is
motion to
accept.
accept it.
Before we do it, I'm a member of the Golf Club of Tennessee, but I still retain the right to vote on it, right?
You just have to declare it.
Okay, I'm declaring it. I make a motion that we accept this from the Planning Commission and approve it.
I think we already had.
We already have a motion.
Yeah.
Let's do a second.
I'll make a second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, is all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion passes. Item F is appointments to the Board of Zoning Appeals. We actually have 2 openings on the zoning appeals because I've continually been moving people up from zoning appeals to planning, which has left a little bit of a problem with zoning appeals. And those the 2 ladies that have accepted or said that they would serve if we vote to put them in the positions are Joanna Gupton and Jane Polanski.
Jane Polanski.
There you go. So I would like to make a motion to, I guess, first appoint Joanna Gupton to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And I would also like to make a motion. Oh, sorry, we needed a second on that, though, didn't we?
I second.
You seconded. Okay. All right. Then I need a motion to appoint Jane Polanski.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, guys. Good job. We have nothing for surplus. Reminders at our farmer's market, of course, City Hall is closed July 4th, and summer camps. So you guys haven't started yet. So.
It's in July.
July. Maybe it'll warm up a little bit for that. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. I know I've asked John this before, but I think if there's any way the commission can recommend that we do put some kind of notice on Facebook and on social media and on our website that South Cheatham Exchange is our newspaper.
Oh,
It's not so much recommendation.
Or the Cheatham Exchange is the newspaper that we use
Right, because
now.
there's still people that don't know about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Chuck Slater didn't know about it, Mr. Hargis didn't know about it a few meetings ago, and there's so many people that come by that and see the marker going, where's our paper, where's our,
So, I mean, yeah, so let them know that's where we advertise.
Yeah, just something so people will know, because
Yeah.
people don't know. I know Pegram has it on their website.
So,
And I think our website actually still has the Advocate.
and now that they've been purchased by Main Street Media, which
Action
is
City
a
Times.
larger company yet, they charge a subscription fee for everyone now, don't they?
It's $25 a year
$25
to your door, and it gets you the
Online access
Online.
as well.
Well, it'd probably be a good idea, maybe this is what Carol was talking about, to put on our Facebook page and our website that is.
Yeah, that's what
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You want that instead of the advocate, is it still on,
Right,
the advocate's
yeah.
still on there, but
Yeah.
it's not in print anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that would be good to do. I think that's something that could probably just be done
Yeah.
by staff, and I think that the board would appreciate it. So.
John's the one who does the website.
John's the one, so you
John's the
pass it
updates.
on to John.
But when it is published, I wonder if they'd agree to let us put a copy of it on those two things, because a lot of people go to the website or the Facebook page to get the city information anyhow, if they see there's a link back to the.
Yeah, I mean, they
It's a
have,
subscription, there's a subscription service to it, so I doubt
Yeah.
if they're gonna openly allow that.
they have a firewall on everything now, so.
I know last year I was getting them to drop copies and I was taking them to the farmer's market, so I'm gonna see if I can do that again, just so people can.
Because they no longer put them at the post office either, so.
No longer
Well,
hanging out.
yeah, they never really put those ones there, and I think the stacks that were there, because I think last year I said, we need some stacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.